The theory of oral formulaic composition originated in the scholarly study of epic poetry, being developed in the second quarter of the 20th century. It seeks to explain two related issues: the process which enables oral poets to improvise poetry, and why orally improvised poetry has the characteristics it does. The key idea of the theory is poets have a store of formulas, and that by linking these in conventionalized ways, they can rapidly compose verse. In the hands of Milman Parry and Albert Lord, this approach transformed the study of ancient and medieval poetry, and oral poetry generally. The main exponent and developer of their approaches was John Miles Foley. Homeric verse as a source of examples. In Homeric verse, a phrase like Eos rhododactylos or oinops pontis occupies a certain metrical pattern that fits, in modular fashion, into the 6-colon Greek hexameter, and aids the oidos or bard in extempore composition. Moreover, phrases of this type would be subject to internal substitutions and adaptations, permitting flexibility in response to narrative and grammatical needs. Poda's ocus axilleus is metrically equivalent to Caradiolos ecta. Formulae could also be combined into type scenes, longer, conventionalized depictions of generic actions in epic, such as the steps taken to arm oneself or to prepare a ship for sea. The work of Parry and successors. Oral formulaic theory was originally developed principally by Milman Parry in the 1920s. To explain how the Homeric epics could have been passed down through many generations purely through word of mouth, and why formulas appeared in it in the way that they did. His work was influential. The locus classicus for oral formulaic poetry, however, was established by the work of Parry and his student Albert Lord on the Serbian oral epic poetry of what was at the time part of Yugoslavia, where oral formulaic composition could be observed and recorded ethnographically. Formulaic variation is apparent, for example, in the lines Abisjedi Odo Raskatale Abisjedi Mujajan Halila. Lord, and more prominently Francis Peabody McGowan, also applied the theory to Old English poetry, where formulaic variation such as the following is prominent. Rothgar Mathalode Helmsilding Beowulf Mathalode Berneg the Aus. McGowan thought that formulaic poetry was necessarily oral in origin. This sparked a major and ongoing debate over the extent to which Old English poetry, which survives only in written form, should be seen as, in some sense, oral poetry. A provocative new application of oral formulaic theory is its use in explaining the origin of parts of the Quran.